I was on exchanges, which is when you're, as a companionship, you meet with another companionship and you trade companions for the day. And so I was in another city with another sister, and we were just walking down the street, and we had just had a full day of work, and we were going home to go eat dinner. So we're walking back, and the sister was telling me about how she's been kind of afraid to talk with people on the street. And at the time, I was a leader, a sister training leader, which I was just there to learn and grow from them. I wasn't there to tell them anything to do or anything like that. But our goal that day was to learn how to talk to people on the street. And so we were pretty good at talking to people that were going against us traffic-wise, but we were getting to the point where we wanted to learn more of how to talk with people who were going the same direction as us. And so the sister and I, we were just talking about Finland, about the mission, about our own lives in general. And there's this man that walks from behind us, and he's gotten to the point where he's walking side by side with us. And so I just kind of stopped and our conversation, and I just turned to him and I said, "Hey, how's it going?" And we just started talking to this random guy on the street, and we walked with him for a good almost mile, I want to say. It was a good distance. And we just started talking to him about who he was, where he was going. He was actually headed to church, to the Lutheran church. And so we were talking about his religious beliefs. He told us that he had been unemployed, he was searching for a job, but that he had just gotten in contact with his religious sense, I guess you could say. And so we were walking, and then the sister that I was with, she just started bearing her testimony about Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and the restoration of the gospel. And by the time that we started the conversation to when we ended, we had taught him the entire first lesson on the street. And not only that, the sister I was with bore her testimony and recited the first vision on the street. And this is in the downtown of one of the major population cities in Finland. So it was loud, there's lots of traffic, there's lots of people, but he could hear us and he could feel something that he never had felt before. And so we were walking and we were talking with this guy, and we started talking about the Book of Mormon. And he says, I think I might want to read that. And we say, it's your lucky day. We happen to have one in our bag. And so we pull out a Book of Mormon, and at the front of each of the Books of Mormon, there is a little sheet of paper that has the questions of the soul. And so you take a look at that, and each person you showed it to, they would take a look at it, and they would pick which question interested them. And such question as, do you believe in God? Or what does Christ really expect of you? Is God real? Does he exist? What happens to my family after this life? Will I live again? Little questions that I really think we all ask ourselves. They're all there, and they're all answered in the Book of Mormon. And so this man, he looked at these questions and he said, I have all of those questions. And we said, well, this is a gift that we want to give you. And so we showed him the introduction of the Book of Mormon, and we read a little part that says, when you read this book, when you truly, sincerely read it, and you pray about it, there's a promise that you will receive an answer, whether this book is true or whether it is not true. It's your choice and your decision to ask. And so we committed him on the street to read the Book of Mormon, and he said that he would. So we gave him one of our favorite scriptures to read, and we said, you know what? We really want to show you our church. We want to give you a little tour of it. And he said, that sounds like so much fun. And so we wrote down our phone number and the church address, And we didn't have any pass-along cards because we had ran out since we had given them to so many people that day. And he didn't have any paper with him. So we wrote everything inside the Book of Mormon. And we wrote down our phone number and the church address and our appointment. We were going to meet that following Wednesday at a certain time. And so we wrote all of that information inside the Book of Mormon so that he could keep it. And as soon as we were about to leave, he just gave us a giant hug in the middle of downtown Turku, which is one of the major cities in Finland. And it was a really special experience that I still remember, just seeing this man receive light in his eyes. And he was so grateful for it that out of nowhere, he just gave us a hug. And we were so awkwarded out, but it was so much fun. And he got baptized a month later. And that was really special to see. Miracles happen every single day. I remember there was a recent convert that had gotten baptized about 4 months before I had come into my last area. And he was having a really hard time with his testimony, trying to figure out if God really did care about him, if the Book of Mormon really was true. And at the same time, he had a lot of friends who really doubted his beliefs and who really teased him because he was a member of the church. So that didn't really help things at all. But I remember we invited him to come help us do a service project at our mission president's house. And he, in turn, invited one of his friends. And so he and his friend came with us, and we rode the bus together, and we went and did service. And it was a blast. We all had so much fun. And while my companions and I, we rushed off to our next appointment, this recent convert, his friend, and the elder missionaries, they walked back to the bus stop. And the elders started talking to our recent convert's friend and just got to know him and got to know what his feeling was towards the church. And one of the elders shared some really personal experiences with him that helped this friend completely change his viewpoint on the church. That he actually accepted the Book of Mormon. He started reading it, and we were able to meet with him. And in our very first lesson, we set a date for him to be baptized. And he followed through. He was baptized 2 weeks later. And it all just comes with taking little steps with following the Spirit. Sometimes, actually a lot of times, we don't know the real influence we have on others. But when we follow the Spirit and then we listen to those little ideas and thoughts in our minds, the Spirit will lead us to do great things. And at times it doesn't seem like it is that great, but it can change the entire eternal perspective for one person.